The first time China's leader has visited his neighbor and close strategic ally since Russia started its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, Xi Jinping has arrived in Moscow for meetings with Vladimir Putin. Days after accusing Putin of committing war crimes in Ukraine and ordering his arrest, the International Criminal Court in The Hague issued a warrant for Xi's visit. During Xi's three-day visit, Ukraine is anticipated to be a major topic of conversation. This visit will be closely watched for any potential effects on an ongoing conflict that has claimed tens of thousands of lives and sparked a severe humanitarian crisis. Unless the Chinese leader is able to make a significant diplomatic breakthrough, Xi's trip will likely be viewed in some Western capitals as a ringing endorsement of the Russian leader in the face of widespread international condemnation of his war. According to Dmitry Peskov, a spokesman for the Kremlin, the topics which are touched upon in Beijing's peace plan, of course, will inevitably be touched upon during the exchange of views on Ukraine between Putin and Xi. In-depth explanations will, of course, be provided by President Putin, so that Chinese President Xi Jinping can learn about the current situation firsthand from the Russian perspective, he continued. In an effort to position itself as a major advocate for the conflict's resolution, Beijing has billed the trip as a journey of friendship, cooperation, and peace by China. However, Western leaders have voiced skepticism regarding China's alleged neutrality and potential role as a peacemaker. Instead, since last month, the United States and its allies have warned that China is considering providing lethal aid to Russia as part of its war effort, a claim Beijing has refuted. The two nations' close strategic alignment, which encompasses diplomatic coordination, shared military training, and robust trade, is anticipated to be further deepened by Xi's visit. In a statement issued after his arrival on Monday, Xi said, China is willing to continue to work with Russia to firmly safeguard the international order in the face of a turbulent and changing world. At the Vnukovo airport outside of Moscow, Dmitry Chernyshenko, one of Russia's 10 deputy prime ministers, welcomed Xi. In separate letters published in each other's national state-run media outlets ahead of the visit, Putin and Xi both praised the new impetus their meeting would bring to their bilateral relations. They both used the letters to denounce hegemony, a reference to their shared desire to oppose what they see as a world order dominated by the US. Xi will need to tread carefully during his visit to Moscow. At stake for the Chinese leader is whether he can both bolster ties with a partner China sees as crucial to countering that perceived US dominance, while not alienating a Europe that has become increasingly wary of the China-Russia rapport. Putin launched his invasion days after he and Xi declared a no-limits partnership last February. Since that time China has claimed neutrality, but backed Kremlin rhetoric blaming NATO for the conflict, refused to condemn the invasion, and continued to support Moscow financially by significantly increasing purchases of Russian fuel. China recently made an effort to improve its reputation by positioning itself as an advocate of peace and defending its relationship with Russia as beneficial to world stability. Beijing published a cryptic position paper on the political solution to the conflict in Ukraine last month. The White House expressed concern about potential Chinese proposals that would be one-sided and reflect only the Russian perspective on Friday, following the announcement of Xi's trip to Moscow. According to John Kirby, a spokesman for the National Security Council, a proposal for a ceasefire, which China has repeatedly demanded, would merely give Russia the opportunity to regroup before launching retaliation. In the Tajik capital, Chinese leaders Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin both celebrated their 66th birthdays. In addition to keeping a close eye on events, Kyiv reiterated on Monday that any peace plan must begin with the Russian withdrawal. The Ukrainian National Security and Defense Council's Alexei Danilov tweeted on Monday, the key to implementing China's peace plan successfully. First and foremost, in order to restore sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity, Russian occupation forces must be surrendered or withdrawn from Ukrainian territory, in accordance with international law and the UN Charter. Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, has previously expressed publicly his desire to speak with Xi about the conflict, but since the war started, communication between the two nations has only gone as high as ministerial level. Following a Wall Street Journal report that the two were preparing to speak for the first time after Xi's then potential Moscow trip, Ukrainian, Chinese, and US officials all declined last week to confirm a potential virtual meeting between Zelensky and Xi. On the other hand, this week's state visit marks the 40th encounter between Putin and Xi since the Chinese president took office. The two authoritarian leaders' relationship is widely regarded as a major factor in the recent strengthening of ties between the two nations, and will be closely examined during the visit. This rapport has been on full display in previous meetings between the leaders, with photo opportunities including Putin giving Xi ice cream on his 66th birthday during a meeting in Tajikistan in 2019, and the two cooking Russian pancakes together outside of a forum in Vladivostok in 2018. The two last spoke in person at a summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in September. It was Xi's first trip abroad after going nearly 3 years without leaving the country due to the pandemic. Putin, who referred to Xi as his good old friend in a letter that was made public by Chinese state media on Monday, is likely to highlight the meeting at home as evidence that Russia is not alone in the world. But it's unclear how much Xi will try to play up those optics, given how the Ukraine war hangs over the visit. However, both leaders have already prepared the groundwork for the meeting to improve bilateral cooperation. According to Xi's letter, which was made public by Russian state media on Monday, they would jointly adopt a new vision, a new blueprint, and new measures for the growth of China-Russia comprehensive strategic partnership with coordination in the years to come during the visit. According to a Kremlin spokesperson last week, the meeting will likely begin with a one-on-one meeting, followed by an informal lunch on Monday, before negotiations begin on Tuesday.